Clio was past the MOT, just had one advisory, which was around the front springs being slightly corroded, which on a car this age isn't really an issue. They're not in a bad state and they're not mechanically unsound. I'm going to have a look now and see if we can find out what else might be wrong with the vehicle as from the computer, to see if there's anything else that we need to do. We'll have a quick look. We know we've got some ejection problems, or at least the control module for the engine showing up some issues. We also know that we've got some issues with the cruise control module for some reason. Not sure what that's all about. We'll need to have a look at that. And there's a recurring fault with regard to the rain sensors, but they do work and the automatic lights do actually work. So I don't think we're going to investigate that much further. The functions work okay. I think there's an intermittent fault with the parking assistance as well, so we'll need to have a look at that one. We'll look at these injection faults. There we can see we've got preheating unit, so it looks like we need to look at the heater circuit for the diesel glow plugs. Speed limiter cruise control function. Okay, another one we need to look at. And the brake switch, so I'll have to have a look at that one as well and find out a little bit more about those. A quick bit of reading, and I've got to the bottom of one of the issues. The cruise control problem seems to be due to the brake switch. I unplugged it, tested it, and it seemed to work okay. Plugged it back in and everything seems to be working now, so I'm going to assume, looking at the state of the contacts, they looked a little bit corroded, so I did actually clean those slightly and plugged it back in, and it all seems to be working now. The computer is showing that the brake pedal switch is active and inactive when it's pushed. There are actually two sets of contacts in there, one for the ECU and one for the actual brake lights themselves. They all seem to be working, so that's solved that little problem for now. I'll see if it comes back. I'm looking at the oil sensor code at the moment and it says open circuit, which suggests that it's either not connected or that there's a fault in the wiring, or the sensor's actually faulty itself. Gonna have a look in the engine bay now, see if I can find the sensor. I think it's next to the oil filter. When I found that, what I'll do is I'll disconnect it and then connect a piece of wire across the two, see if it goes to oil sensor short circuit. If it does, then we know the wiring's okay. I'll use a couple of these T-pins, put them into the connector, and then short them with this crocodile clip setup that I've got here. So we put those in now, and then we can go and test it on the computer again. I'm going to reread this now, see what we get. Hopefully we get short circuit instead of open circuit. So that's excellent. We are actually getting short circuit, which means that the wiring is okay, and therefore the sensor or the connection must be faulty. It's time to have a look at the parking sensors. For that I'm going to need an old piece of paper, because I'm on my own and I can cover the sensor with this while I'm stood back around the front of the car using the computer, and therefore be able to see what's going on. Don't have the luxury of having a Bluetooth car computer, so I won't be able to do that by standing remotely and then going near the sensors. So what I'm going to do, hold the sensor near the paper, fix it to the car, tucking it under some of the bodywork, and then I'll come back to the computer and have a look and see whether the sensor's changed. The current code says that the right hand sensor is not working properly, so we'll test all the other three, make sure they operate correctly, and then we'll test that one and see what it does. The difficulty comes from the fact that I have to put it into reverse. Doesn't seem to be quite reading what I'd expect it to. That does tend to happen with these older sensors. Let's see what we get now when we put it into reverse with the right hand sensor covered. No change at all. The sensor looks like it's faulty as per the description, or it's just unplugged. That's exactly as per the DTC that was generated. We'll have to have a look now and see whether the sensor is actually unplugged or whether there's a wiring fault behind the bumper. Or I won't get my hand in there. Let's see whether just refitting the connector onto the back of the sensor has made any difference. It looks like unplugging it and plugging it back in has made it work again. Let's read the codes after clearing them and see what we get. We're now showing that it's a memory code rather than an active code. Let's erase those and reread. And now let's put it in reverse again to trigger the parking sensors. Let's reread the codes. That looks pretty good. Excellent. That's another one fixed. Well, that's quite a lot cleaner than it was, thank heavens. Although maybe washing it in the wet wasn't the best plan in the world. Bye. So back in the Clio again, we're going to have a look and look at this, as it seems to be slightly messed up. We can hopefully fix that. And we've also got this lovely screen just here, which also doesn't show the right temperature or anything on it because the digits are broken on there as well. A replacement screen for the top. It's going to need a bit of a clean, but at least we can put that one on. And then we got hopefully the right part there to replace that one. Put that on there, like that. There we go. Gonna have to use all these tools, these trim removal tools. See if we can get those out of the car. At least with these now, I can see where the clips are, so we can see where to aim for to get those out. Let's give it a go. This is a slightly different style of screen. Still an LCD, but it looks like it's a square matrix rather than an individual line digit. However, that looks to be working nicely, so that's brilliant. It's another one off the list. Now onto this one. This should be slightly more interesting. Instructions are to pull off this piece of trim at the bottom here. By pulling each side off and then pulling the whole piece out, and then pull this whole section out together, and then hopefully, looking at this, there are some screws, one either side, we can get those replaced. Let's see if we can get this first bit off. Now we can see into here, two Torx screws holding that in. This looks like it should come out now. There we go. Connectors on the back, push down with a lever, so push down and then pull the lever forward, and the same for this one, tab here, push the tab down and then pull the lever back, and then these pop out, and then they also pop back in similarly, pop them in, push the lever back over, and that's how you take that out and put those in again. The other connector is just a simple tab on the back that you push in and then pull the connector out. Now that's back in place, turn the ignition on, see whether that actually works. That looks like that works rather well. It's a slightly different screen to the rest of the car, unfortunately. Slightly different colours, but it does actually function properly, which is excellent. Allow you to see what's going on, so we can change whether we've got recirculate on and off. turn on the various heating options, change the fan speed.
Well, that's it for the second phase of the Ratty Renault refurb. Big Si and I don't usually let Swampy out on his own, as he tends to hide in the back of the garage and drink all the duck oil. But the boy done good. A massive improvement already. In the next and final Ratty video, the car is finished and almost factory fresh. Thanks for watching. We'll be back soon. Cheers.